phrase like balance your hormones or any of that. It's just like, what does that even mean? And I know, you know what it all entails to keep hormones regulated and balanced. Today, we are specifically focusing on that whole brain fog piece and that how your brain changes as you age and how we can prevent that. So I know you have a few things, like what are the most important aspects that a person needs to focus on to keep hormones in check so that our brain doesn't age too fast. We have sort of a list of things that you've gone over.
Okay. Yeah. So as we said, like those hormones can present as so many different symptoms, not just syndromes, but you mentioned brain fog. And that is a huge one, and it can really tie into the insomnia aspect of hormones. You throw in night sweats, hot flashes, headaches, migraines, all those little pieces. And they make women feel so far off from themselves that you feel like your mind, so it's just not your own. You feel like you're going crazy, but you are not going crazy. These are just hormone imbalances, and they can be tweaked. But those hormone imbalances don't just start in our ovaries, they actually start in our brains. And we talk about that aging brain. Well, the neurological symptoms that women are feeling are just direct hormonal changes. So let me back up a second. Let's say, put it this way, the health of our brain is directly linked to the health of our ovaries. Okay, but there's many different hormones that need to be considered here, whether that's estrogen, progesterone, DHA, testosterone, thyroid, cortisol levels. Those are all really important. But I'm going to kind of, because of the aging brain, I'm going to kind of dive into estrogen as one of the bigger players here. Estrogen has a direct effect on our energy production in our brain because they push the neurons to burn glucose and then produces our energy levels, right? So when estrogen starts to decrease, our neurons start to slow down and we age faster. And that can lead to amyloid plaques that are associated with dementia, cognitive decline, and eventually Alzheimer's. And so this last part can't be emphasized enough. 2/3 of all Alzheimer's cases are women. So there's a direct correlation to our estrogen levels, because as our estrogen levels decrease, those amyloid plaques they'll start to increase. Our brains just start to age faster with that decrease in estrogen. So we need to really kind of focus on that. To what we do now is going to directly affect us later on in our lives. There's another big correlation here besides estrogen, and that's your cortisol levels. As your cortisol levels increase, your estrogen levels will start to fall. And as you decrease those cortisol levels, your estrogen will start to rise again. So we need a big focus on stress reduction and sleep. That sleep is so important. I mean, you're talking about hormonal fluctuations, which affect women's sleep and, all those other aspects of their lives. But when we continuously get 6 hours of sleep or less, our cortisol levels naturally increase, which in turn decreases that estrogen.
So essentially you're saying we can blame a lot of this on stress. Stress comes in many forms, as we know. It's not just, the obvious, like, crappy things in life happening. It can be, like you mentioned, poor quality sleep or bad diet, or just even being hard on ourselves, So what would you say then, if we can say, okay, stress is one of the big pieces here. We got to eliminate or reduce stress in different areas. What might be some of your tips for people in stress reduction, even those lesser known forms of stress? I know that's a loaded question.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. Stress comes in many different forms, and it can tend to have a cumulative effect. And so we think that we're not doing too badly, but then when you start asking people questions about what's going on in their lives, and it's insane. Um, the biggest thing, the easiest thing that you can do is meditate.